Welcome! If you are watching this video, you're likely registered to submit a traditional WPE portfolio in January 2024. This is the January 2024 WPE workshop for the reading set topic, Movie Remakes and Franchises. My name is Betsy Gomez and I am the Associate Director of the Writing Proficiency Program. Program Coordinator Rose Mooney will be joining me in this presentation. We encourage you to bookmark our website, which is www.umb.edu/WPE. Our website houses some helpful content, such as the detailed WPE portfolio requirements, grading criteria, the WPE schedule, and copies of our resources like the grid notes and these PowerPoint slides. You may also book a quick question or hold release appointments and tutoring appointments via the links on our website. In this short workshop, we'll go over the submission process and submission schedule, and then we'll take some time to offer advice on how to write a successful WPE challenge essay. This will include a discussion on what kind of essay to write, how to incorporate and give credit to sources, and how to make sure you're answering the essay prompt. Finally, we'll model how you can use an organizational tool like our grid notes to create an index of important quotes and make sure your challenge essay effectively engages with your sources. According to the General Education Program, writing proficiency involves critical thinking, critical reading, and elements of writing. These capabilities are demonstrated within an essay by the following criteria: writing with a clear purpose, effectively utilizing source material, and organization. This criteria was created by the faculty at UMass Boston some time ago and is directly related to the aims of the General Education Program. And these are the standards that will be used to grade your challenge essay. Keep in mind that you are not expected to write a perfect challenge essay. You are still a college student and you're still learning and growing as thinkers and writers. So the graders expect your essay to demonstrate intermediate proficiency in writing. This means that you should keep in mind that the WPE is not a spelling or grammar exam. Instead, you are being graded on whether your essay clearly answers the essay prompt, on whether you engage with and utilize your sources in a way that supports your answer to the prompt, and on whether your essay is organized in a clear and understandable manner. It's really important that you write an essay that shows your thinking and point of view. And we'll continue reminding you about this throughout the workshop. It's just that important. WPE challenge essays are graded on a scale of 1 to 9. So developing essays, and these are non-passing essays, earn scores between 1 and 3. Proficient essays earn scores between 4 and 6. And exemplary essays earn scores between 7 and 9. To pass the WPE, your essay must earn a score of 4 or higher from 2 different graders. Course papers provide a supporting role. Graders may consult them to assist with difficult decisions or to compare between, the writing that you did in your classes and your challenge essay and make sure that you're the one that wrote both. Writing with a clear purpose involves having a sustained focus on a position, argument, or inquiry. Your position, argument, or inquiry are determined by what you think, usually in response to a prompt or an assignment. A proficient essay will clearly state its focus and maintain that focus throughout the entire essay. So you would answer the question and just kind of explain your answer to the question just through the body paragraphs. And a proficient essay presents a methodical, connected discussion. Your challenge essay should focus on answering the prompt on page 1 of the Movie Remakes and Franchises reading set, which is, what can Hollywood's current focus on remakes and familiar franchises indicate about our current society and what we value in our media? What might we be losing out on by focusing on remakes and franchises, and how could we address this? So one way that you can make sure your essay is focused is just make sure that you include a clear answer to the prompt, ideally at the beginning of the essay. And we'll keep reiterating this as well. and then use your prompt to organize the rest of your essay. So, whatever you've kind of mentioned in your answer to the prompt should really be explained in full detail in your body paragraphs. Effectively utilizing source material is the second criteria for grading, and it involves carefully selecting, integrating, and explaining the source material that you're using, and then meaningfully applying that material in service of your essay's purpose. So the essay's purpose in your case would be your answer to the prompt. So a proficient essay would engage in the conversation with the sources by connecting the source's ideas to your essay's purpose and argument. In a proficient essay, you would relate the ideas in the sources to your own ideas and make that relevance explicit. And then in a proficient essay, you would explain and contextualize ideas from the sources. You could briefly review the source's argument, put their ideas into your own words, or illustrate them with fresh examples. In the case of your challenge essay, the source material that we're referring to would be the January WPE reading set. So those are the 3 readings in the January set by Verevis, Washington, and Aller, all about movie remakes and franchises. You're not supposed to do any outside research. You're just supposed to use the sources that we have given you. And yeah, just don't include any sources not in the reading set. Just work with what you have. Now, organization is the final grading criteria, and organization guides the audience from paragraph to paragraph with effective transitions. And, organization also has to do with the sentences within individual paragraphs, right? Making sure that paragraphs are fairly focused around a main idea that's related to your thesis statement or your answer to the prompt. So organization indicates awareness of the fact that your readers need to be guided through the flow of your ideas, right? Because a reader is not in your head, so what makes sense to you just organically, you may have to kind of spell out a little bit more for a reader. And you do that by organizing your essay. So in a proficient essay, each paragraph would signal a new idea and would show us how the idea is explicitly related to the previous paragraph and to the overall purpose of the essay. And in a proficient essay, sentences use forms that express meaning to the reader, and each sentence has a meaningful connection to the other sentences in the paragraph. So you can make sure that your essay is organized just by thinking back on your thesis statement or your answer to the prompt. Just try to make sure that each paragraph is related to proving this answer. And try to make sure that each body of paragraph includes a topic sentence, so that would be a sentence that kind of tells the reader what this paragraph will be about. Evidence, that would be your use of sources, right? Bringing in evidence from the readings. And analysis, so that would be your own critical thinking, your own thoughts about the evidence that you're using. And you would also kind of do all of the other grading criteria if you do this as well, right? You would be focused, you would use your sources, and then you would organize your essay well. So the current portfolio requirements include the challenge essay, which we've been talking about for a little bit. So that challenge essay should be 1,500 words or longer. You'll also need to submit 3 course papers from courses that you've taken at UMass Boston. 1 course paper should be longer, 1,250 words or longer, and the other 2 course papers can be 750 words or longer. If this is your first semester, so if you're a first semester transfer student, meaning that you transferred in fall 2023, you are allowed to submit 2 course papers instead of 3. You should still submit the longer one of 1,250 words or longer, and the other one can be 750 words or longer. All students submitting a WPE portfolio must write a new challenge essay answering the WPE prompt. You can't get out of writing the challenge essay if you're doing the WPE. And then another requirement that you'll need to complete is filling out a confirmation form. You'll get a link to that closer to the submission deadline. The confirmation form includes an honesty statement and a brief survey that you may want to fill out. All course papers that you submit in your portfolio should come from courses you took at UMass Boston. You're allowed to submit 2 from your intermediate seminar or CRW 282 if you've taken those courses in the past. At least one of the essays must be from a course that's a 200 level or higher, so 200 level class, 300 level, 400 level. Ideally, your paper should work with sources, and with advance approval, you can submit a paper that's based on observation, such as a lab report or a case study. Just make sure to send any papers like that to us at writing.proficiency@umb.edu so we can let you know if you can submit them or not. And ideally, papers should be analytical, use evidence, and present an argument. You know, these are all kind of the things that the grading standards are looking for as well. And finally, if you're worried that you don't have enough course papers, just send us an email. We're very happy to work with you and make sure that you can submit a portfolio. So don't be afraid to ask. A common question that we get is, does everyone have to submit the challenge essay? The answer is yes. If you're registered for the January WPE, your portfolio must include the challenge essay, and this challenge essay should be at least 1,500 words or longer and use all 3 of the articles in the reading set. So the challenge essay is based on the reading set and prompt that you receive via email after you register. We have kind of a snapshot here of what the confirmation looks like, but if you can't find it, send us an email and we will resend it. On another note, we also send you the link to the reading set every Friday when we send you a WPE update, you know, just kind of reminding you of what's going on with the program and with the WPE. The portfolio submission schedule is on this slide. Basically, you'll submit your portfolios online on Blackboard. So by December 31st, you'll be enrolled in a Blackboard course titled CAS 015. We'll send you submission instructions as well. It's fairly easy, just like submitting to any Blackboard assignment, which I'm sure most, if not all of you, have done many times at this point. You won't have access to the Blackboard until around December 31st because it is a winter session Blackboard. So if you're thinking that you're not going to be around and you need to submit early, just send us an email and we'll set you up with an alternative submission, not on Blackboard. But basically, once you're enrolled in the Blackboard, you'll have until January 3rd at 11:59 p.m. to upload your portfolio. We will grade the portfolios the next week from around January 9 to 12, and then we'll send results after 5 p.m. on January 12. So it's important to look at the email that you get on January 12, which will have your result. If you receive a pass result, this means that you've completed the WPE and you're all set. If you receive a retake result, it does mean that the WPE graders did not find that your submission met the grading criteria. But if you do receive a retake, just make sure that you sign up for retake counseling, which will happen from January 16th through the 22nd. So during retake counseling, you meet with a faculty member on Zoom and you'll go over your result and review the grader's comments on your portfolio. You'll also have the opportunity to revise your essay using the feedback that you received from the graders. And revisions are due a week after your counseling appointment. Also, you can only revise if you meet with a counselor because that's the way that you get the feedback. And revisions will be graded by brand new faculty members that haven't graded your portfolio. So it's just kind of like a second chance for your portfolio to be graded. If your revision attempt is found to be proficient, then you'll be done with the WPE. If not, you will need to attempt the WPE again, and the next WPE will be for a June 2024 submission with registration opening on our website on April 29th.
We are now moving on to the advice portion of our workshop. These are just a few tips to keep in mind as you start working on your WPE challenge essay. The most important component of a WPE challenge essay is your own thinking. If you don't express your ideas and provide logical support for your own ideas, you will not pass the WPE. Remember that the grading standards, focus, source use, and organization are all tied to your own thinking. Our first pieces of advice include a few do's and don'ts. Our first don't is don't write a report. Do write an essay. Do use the reading set sources, but don't over-summarize. Do engage with the sources, though. Finally, whether you quote, summarize, or paraphrase, do give credit when you are using someone else's ideas or words. Always give credit. We'll break down this advice in more detail in the next couple of slides. The main difference between a report and an essay is that a report may have a lot of summary and is meant to inform the audience about something. An essay, meanwhile, has a small amount of summary. In an essay, the writer's goal is to persuade the audience that their argument is correct or important. You are the writer here, and your goal is to convince your readers. In an essay, you will take a position and present an argument that is supported by information and logic. As mentioned earlier, your own thinking is essential. The graders want to know what you think. It is important to answer the question as soon as possible, ideally in the first paragraph. Your position or thesis statement is important because it is the heart of your essay. You can employ phrases from the question to create your position. For instance, the prompt asks, what can Hollywood's current focus on remakes and familiar franchises indicate about our current society and what we value in our media? What might we be losing out on by focusing on remakes and franchises, and how could we address this? You might answer this by writing, Hollywood's focus on releasing remakes or movies that are part of a franchise indicate that our society values media that, which would directly answer the first part of the question. If we continue to only focus on these types of movies, we will lose out on, which would directly answer the second part of the question. This could be addressed by, which would suggest an analysis of how we could address the issue. This example sets up an answer to the prompt, which would encourage you to answer both parts of the question. You will clearly address both how Hollywood's focus on these movies are impacting society and how we could possibly address what we're missing out on by focusing on these kinds of movies. What is the question asking you to do? Pay attention to the question, what can Hollywood's current focus on remakes and familiar franchises indicate about our current society and what we value in our media? What might we be losing out on by focusing on remakes and franchises, and how could we address this? When you are breaking down the question, consider the following parts. What can Hollywood's current focus on remakes and familiar franchises indicate about our society and what we value in our media? You might ask yourself, why do you think Hollywood constantly pushes to recreate or remake familiar stories? Why do we as an audience continue to watch these movies? When you're looking at the second part of the question, what might we be losing out on by focusing on remakes and franchises, and how could we address this? You might ask yourself, why are new and diverse stories important? What do we lose if we do not interact with this kind of media? What could be done to ensure our media is more diverse? Your essay would need to go into all of these parts of the question in detail, using the reading set material to support your answer. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything in the reading set. You could certainly argue against one or more of the sources. Just make sure to explain why you're disagreeing. The WPE graders will be familiar with the reading set, so you don't need to summarize it in detail. Instead, use the reading set material to expand on your own argument. Here's an example of what that can look like. Hollywood's current focus on remakes and franchises indicates that we currently value the comfort of media that is familiar to us. Jacob Aller points this out when he writes that pretty consistently, folks go to the movies when they recognize something and stay home when they don't. Aller supports this claim by pointing out that when you look back to the past 10 years of top 10 films, only 8 movies out of 100 were original movies. This shows that people seem to prefer going to a movie that they are already familiar with. This idea is echoed by Constantin Vervaes, who points out that movie remakes tend to be successful and can even push traffic back to the original movie the remake was based on. In an era where we watch more movies than ever online, seeking out familiar stories like this can renew interest in an old property and thus can easily increase the profits for the movie studios who sell the streaming rights to different services. This creates a cycle that reinforces itself. While focusing on remakes and franchises and revisiting earlier films can be comfortable for us, we may lose out on the potential benefits of engaging with fresh and new narratives from diverse perspectives. In the article, The Importance of Representation in Film and Media, Lauren Washington describes how media representation can be the only way some people can connect people who live different lives from them. If that is the case, only having access to shallow and inaccurate portrayals of diverse groups can lead to these misconceptions becoming embedded in our society. Washington argues that it is thus necessary for us to create and consume more diverse media for the sake of marginalized groups. This means that we are losing out on necessary representation in our media when we focus on remaking the same stories over and over again. Notice that this example uses the reading set material with some summary, but also directly engages with the material using quotes and paraphrases to explain a main idea. The final sentence is echoing back to the prompt, which shows focus. It is important that the graders can differentiate between your ideas and those of the authors in the reading set. This means that you should be careful and make sure to cite when you use someone else's ideas. When you use summary, you briefly spell out the main points of something. When you paraphrase, you reword someone else's statement. A direct quotation is taken directly from the text. Here are a few examples of what summary, direct quotes, and paraphrases can look like. The grid notes are a tool that you can use in the reading, drafting, and editing stages of your writing process. You can use them to make an index of important ideas and quotes in the reading set, and to make sure you're engaging with all the sources in the reading set. The grid notes can help you create an index of important ideas in the reading set. You can see that the student has filled out the page numbers where they believe these ideas are discussed. It can be useful to keep an index, as it might make it easier for you to see connections or differences between the readings, and will also help you select quotes that you can use in your essay. You can use the grid notes to try to synthesize the sources. This means that instead of using the sources separately, you can use them together to support your own argument. Please don't overlook the resources available to you this WPE cycle. Tutoring is available from now through December 22nd. We offer both in-person and remote appointments. And on December 26th to 27th, and on January 2nd, we will offer draft reviews. When you sign up for a draft review, you are reserving a staff member's time. You will not be meeting with a tutor one-on-one. Instead, you will send us your essay draft before your appointment time, and then your tutor will email you feedback. The link to sign up for draft reviews will be sent via email in our weekly update on December 22nd. This concludes the January 2024 WPE workshop. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us via email. We will answer you as soon as we can. Good luck with the writing process.